In this short video, I'm going to show you how I replaced the original lock on a stack-on cabinet with a T-handle. The reason I did this is because my original lock became stuck, either because something inside the lock was bound up, or possibly something inside the cabinet shifted and was resting on the rotating latch, which prevented me from turning the key and disengaging the sliding bars. I think I probably could have forced the latch to turn if I had the T-handle, since it doesn't rely on the key for leverage. But I was afraid of breaking the key off inside the lock, so I ended up drilling it out to open the cabinet. Here's the drilled out original lock next to the Bauer T501L T-handle. The dimensions of the threaded barrel that attaches the lock to the cabinet door are nearly identical, and both parts have a threaded rod with 5/16" square flats that fit into the cabinet latch. After drilling out the original lock, the cabinet latch and locking bars fell down and allowed me to open the door. These images show the outside and inside of the cabinet door after everything was removed. And here you can see the Bauer T-handle being test fitted to the cabinet door. The fit was a little tight and required me to push and wiggle the T-handle barrel through the opening in the door, but I did not have to do any grinding or filing to make this work. It felt like it was just resistance due to the painted finish on the T-handle threads. One thing worth noting is there's a raised shoulder at the base of the threaded section of the T-handle cylinder where the flats end. This results in a small gap between the mounting base of the T-handle and the door. This does not cause any problems when everything is assembled tight, but if it bothers you, you can extend the flats with a file or grinder. Once the T-handle was inserted, I installed the lock washer from the original lock and then secured the new assembly to the door using the supplied hex nut. I used a 7/8" open-end wrench to tighten the hex nut, but an adjustable wrench would work just fine. Next, I inserted the locking bars onto the door and reinstalled the cabinet latch. Looking from the inside of the door, the latch opens when rotated counterclockwise and locks when rotated clockwise. The way the T-handle was configured, the handle was vertical when opened and horizontal when closed after I installed it. Next, I installed the lock nut onto the threaded shaft and tightened it using a 9/16" wrench. Be careful and don't over-tighten the hex nut. If you tighten it too far, the T-handle won't turn. So what I did was tighten the lock nut until the T-handle wouldn't turn, then backed off the lock nut just a little bit until it turned freely. After you're finished, try it out and make sure the T-handle turns and the door latch and locking bars work properly. I should probably make a disclaimer and note the T-handle is not a high-security lock. I installed the T-handle to make the cabinet easier to open and close, but I installed a second lock on the cabinet to make it harder to break into. That means I need to use two different keys to unlock the cabinet, but that really isn't a bad thing for my purposes. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found this useful.